Okay, good afternoon everyone, and Happy New Year to the beginning of 2019. It's already been quite busy to start with. So we have AJ on today as our guest speaker for the first webinar of the year. Thanks AJ for coming. I'm going to introduce AJ and then I'll hand it over to him to continue on with the webinar. So the topic today is titled From Employee to Entrepreneur, 3 crucial ideas to transform your side hustle into your main thang. So really there's never been a better time to be an entrepreneur. However, contrary to popular belief, being your own boss isn't always so easy. In this session, AJ will explore 3 fundamental rules of a successful business. Learning these concepts will help you build a business that will give you the best possible chance to transition you out of your job. The rest of the session will be highly interactive Q&A, so please save your questions and answers until the end and we'll address them at the end of the webinar. And please be open as you possibly can. This is your chance to ask anything that you have. So we're just waiting for a few more people to come in. We've got 122 registered today. So we'll just wait for some more people to come on in. We're halfway there. And then I'll bring it over to AJ. Okay. AJ, you want to come over?
Cool. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. What an entrance. All right, so who have we got on here? And before we kick off, this has been my second webinar in about 10 years. So things aren't going to go as smoothly as planned. So let's be a little bit patient and flexible with me. I really appreciate that. I'm used to dealing with crowds of thousands of people live. So this small intimate group of 120 digitally kind of makes me a little bit nervous. But yes, we're all going to get through it and have some fun and learn some new ideas. So yeah, who have we got? Okay, Wing Yin, hello. Lixin Cow, is that a Xiao, maybe? I apologize for pronunciations anyway. Okay, who else have we got here? So while we're waiting for everyone to come on board, do us a favor and tell me where you're at in life. Are you an employee thinking about starting a business, or have you already got a side hustle? So that'll give me a sort of sense of who is here. So chat to me in the chat thingy. Is that what you call the technical term? I don't know. Quite ironic, really, because I ran an IT consulting firm, so I should know all this stuff. Cool. Intern as an ERP analyst. Thank you, Anuradha. Mandeep, hello, welcome. I used to own a business. Ulasumbo, is that how you pronounce it? Apologies for that. Alduos, full-time employee waiting to be made redundant. Fingers crossed for you, mate. Rupunderjeet, hello, welcome. Who else? Ola for short. Thank you, Ola. All right, cool. So keep it coming. And can everyone see the screen okay? So you should be looking at a rocket ship. Hi, Toroshi. Thank you, everyone. All right, let's give it one more minute and then we'll kick off because there's a lot to cover. And I'm a little bit excited to share these insights with you. Hi, Manho. Hi, Ahmed. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. All right, let's kick off. So I want to explain something first. A few people wrote into me and said, AJ, you've got a spelling mistake. You misspelt this thing. It's on your promo. You spelt it as thang, not thing. I think you better fix it up, otherwise people will think you're an idiot. Well, let me explain something. So first things first, thing versus thang. So when you grow up, you might get the idea to get a job because that's how you survive in life. And that was certainly my upbringing. I had very strict parents and they got told, you must study hard and get a good job and get married and then have a second job and, the linear path to success. Okay. And what we're finding now in this abundance world of choice is that a lot of people are really not very happy in their job and in their job, not their career. People are career focused, are stressed. But if you're in a job, sometimes it might not be very fulfilling for yourself, but it pays the bills. And so a job is what I call a thing. It serves a purpose, it gets done, you do it. You might be good at it, you might not be good at it, it doesn't matter. But it's there to pay the bills and it becomes a thing. But a thing, oh, that's a whole different kettle of fish right there, because your thing is something that you're so passionate and excited about, and it's the thing that you can't wait to get home to work on. And you're dreaming about your thing all the time, okay? So that's the difference. So I didn't misspell it. And I want you to keep that in mind, a thing versus a thing, because that's really how you run a very successful business. You make it into a thing. It's never just a thing. Now, this is where I get a little bit unpopular, because I'm very passionate about business, mainly because I've been doing it a long time now, and I've known plenty of others doing it as well. And I also used to coach and mentor small businesses. And as much as the world embraces entrepreneurship today, everyone's gone startup crazy, and being your own boss is considered sexy, and there's shows like Shark Tank around. So the notion of being an entrepreneur is quite acceptable in society today, and it wasn't always like that when I was growing up. Being an entrepreneur meant, or having a business meant, that you weren't smart enough to go to school and get a job. So I grew up in that sort of mentality where, when I went and told my dad I want to start my business, proper business, I had a few little side things on the go when I was a kid. So anyway, when I went to tell him that I want to start my business, he sort of disowned me because he was very upset that it wasn't very prestigious. So that's the mentality I've come from. And this is where I'm getting a little bit unpopular, because as much as it is sexy to be an entrepreneur, to really make a success out of your business, no one really talks about the dark times. No one really talks about the hard times. And starting and running and growing your own business is incredibly hard work. And I want to be completely honest with you and give you an accurate account of everything. So today is really about killing your dreams. No, I'm just kidding, a little bit. But I want to examine a few myths. And the first myth is that entrepreneurship is about taking risks. And most of you know Uncle Richard here. Whenever I run these seminars and I say, name an entrepreneur, usually he's one of the top entrepreneurs that everyone thinks of. And once upon a time, he said, you've got to take risks if you're going to succeed. Now, here's the thing about Richard Branson. He is incredible as a publicist, right? He generates a lot of PR and publicity around his events. And unless you're sitting in front of him having a chat to him, he plays to the crowds because it's all that excitement and adventure and everything, okay? But I'm going to call BS on this, because if you really study everything, study Richard Branson very closely, and you understand his upbringing and the decisions that he made in business, you realize that he doesn't actually take any risks whatsoever. There's a common, there's a story of that his mother actually tells, that when he was growing up, so he grew up very poor. His family was actually very poor, according to his mum, and his dad was a barrister, but at the time he was born, the family was very poor, and the dad had failed the bar exam, so they didn't have much money around. So Richard Branson's mum rolled up her sleeves and goes, right, I'm going to generate some money. And she started actually doing all this stuff, and she was very successful. And so Richard and his siblings were raised in that environment where you had to generate money. So when you're in that environment where you're forced to survive because there's no other options for you, something deep inside you fires up. And you start doing things, and you achieve results. And so Richard was raised in an environment where even if stuff didn't work out, it would be okay. And that's something to keep in mind, because this whole notion of risk means situation involving exposure to danger. A situation involving exposure to danger. When we talk about danger in life, we talk about, survival instincts, something out there trying to kill you or harm you. And we talk about in psychological terms, we talk about it in terms of safety and security. So if nothing's trying to harm you or kill you, well, is there really danger around? Okay, then we evolve as a society, and now it's an urban landscape. And so what is the danger in there? Well, the danger is, are you actually going to make any money to survive? And that's a real threat to a lot of people. But what's interesting, and in Richard's case is, and for many others around the world, if at any point in your life you are dead, broke, and poor, and you make it out of that poverty, you never, ever, ever want to go back there. So you don't actually take risks that jeopardizes your safety and security. You don't. You actually mitigate those risks. So you come up with a list of all the risks, and then entrepreneurs are experts at mitigating those risks. And that's really important to understand during this whole journey. And I'm going to teach you what I use to mitigate those risks. And just to be full disclaimer with all of you here today, this is the stuff that I had to work out through my own entrepreneurial journey. And I don't wish it on anyone else. It's been a crazy, crazy journey of learning, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of failures, a lot of successes and wonderful things. But, there's a lot of dark times too. And I want you all to be aware of that. So some of you have already got a job that pays bills. Some of you are waiting to be made redundant. And just keep that in mind, So that's the sort of mentality I want you all to keep in mind. As much as it's sexy to be an entrepreneur, it's also damn hard work. And with that in mind, today is really about giving you all the best possible chance of success, okay? So hopefully that serves you well, and let's keep going. Now, during my time in my career as an entrepreneur and helping other entrepreneurs excel in their businesses, accelerate the growth of their businesses, I was always asked, HJ, what exactly is an entrepreneur? And you know what? I really struggled to define that, because whenever I chat to someone, from what they say, I'll know if they're an entrepreneur or not. And sometimes they're a business person, they know how to exchange a product and service for money. So that's a business person. An entrepreneur is a little bit different, and you'll hear what entrepreneurship is all about a little bit later on. But trying to sort of analyze what is it I'm looking for in these conversations, I came up with 3 key factors, and I'd like to share that with you today. So these are the 3 B's of business success, and we're going to play a bit of a game, and my sessions, if you haven't guessed, are highly interactive. So using the chat module down here would be great for you to answer these questions. So let's kick off. First B, the bed. So question for you, do you make your bed? Type it into the comments or the chat section and let me know, do you make your bed? I won't name names, but I'd just like to know, do people make their bed? So enter that into the comments section now. Cool, yep, fantastic, excellent, hell yes. I love it. Okay, cool. Here's the reasoning behind making your bed. Making your bed, there's psychological studies done that if you can accomplish something as soon as you wake up, the way your mind works during the day is completely different to your mind if you hadn't accomplished anything first thing in the morning. And when you think about your day, think about your mindset, the first few moments of when you wake up, that technically dictates the theme of the day. If you wake up and you think of all the challenges and problems that you have, most likely you're not going to be in the best frame of mind. So making the bed every morning is something so small that you can do, and that signifies discipline. Are you disciplined enough to do something so small where you won't see the benefit immediately until you crawl back into bed late at night? So are you that disciplined to do something small, so small, over and over again in your life that'll help you achieve things down the track? Do you make your bed? So that's the first thing. Okay, awesome. Let's go to the next B. The Bowser. Okay, so already I can sense a few of you are looking at this picture getting anxiety from almost running out of fuel. So my question to you is, how low does the petrol gauge in your car have to get before you fill it up? Enter it into the comments below and share your answers. Do you fill up when it's half a tank? Do you fill up when it's quarter tank? Do you run it right on empty? Okay, quarter, yep, keep going. Quarter, ooh, okay, cool. Quarter, half, yep, keep going. Until smash the yellow bulb. About this level. Great, okay, cool. So here's this indicator with the Bowser. In business, you're gonna go through some tough times. And what this question signifies is your ability to handle uncertainty. Is your ability to handle uncertainty and how you manage your anxiety and how you manage just getting through. Because I tell you right now, there are days when you're not going to have enough money to even put petrol in your car because your clients might not have paid you, but you keep going. And even in my own journey, this has been the case. You know, there's been times when I haven't had enough money to pay bills, and so I've forced myself to sleep during the day so that I don't have to eat, you know, and then I'll have meals at night, and then the client pays, and yay, you know, I take that on board. But this is the real dark side of being an entrepreneur, you know, and there's times when you just have to manage that sort of stuff. And the best story I heard about, you know, cutting it close was from a friend of mine years ago, and he had a business called Hall, and he basically took billboards, right? And he took billboards, and he would when a billboard had finished, all the material would just get chucked out. So he took the material from the billboard and he converted it into laptop sleeves, wallets, cases, everything. It was great. But there was a time in his business where he was struggling to make ends meet, and he had to pay employees, he had to make payroll, he had to make rent. And so he was sleeping on the floor of his shop. And as soon as he clocked out of the business, he would go and work in a bakery doing deliveries until in the early hours of the morning. And then he didn't have money for food. So he had his fuel card, right? And so he would eat whatever the servos had for him, which was like a day-old pie or, you know, chips and chocolate or whatever. And because of that, he pushed through those dark times. And he was able to convert his business into very successful. He picked up corporate clients. They bought all his products. I don't know the revenue that he got, but let's just say that he never has to do that ever again. But the lesson there is how low are things going to get for you before you eject, okay? Now, for those of you saying that you wait until half the tank is gone, okay, you need to work on that, okay? You need to work on that. So plan things differently so that you go to maybe quarter tank left and then maybe just a little bit left and then go fill up. But manage your anxiety and around that, you know, plan where you're actually going to go and fill up and when you're going to fill up and things like that, because it's you getting uncomfortable with the uncertain, and that's so important, okay? So get comfortable with uncertainty, and that's the second B. Okay, let's keep moving. The last B is the browser. Which internet browser do you use? Type it in. Do you use Internet Explorer? Do you use Safari? Do you use Chrome? Do you use Mozilla Firefox? Or do you use something else? Google Chrome, yep, fantastic. Chrome. All. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now, what this indicates, and there's statistical research on this, okay? If you're the sort of person to use Internet Explorer and Safari, they're the default browsers that come with whatever operating system that you're given. So when you turn up to work, turn on the computer, and it's Internet Explorer, you use that. Or if it's Mac, you just use Safari, okay? It takes a little bit of thinking and a desire, an effort to actually physically go to Google and download Chrome and physically go to Mozilla and download Firefox, okay? And that little bit of effort. Now, why do you do that? Well, because you want to use more effective tools to do your job, than what is being handed to you. So the psychological research actually demonstrates that that you've actually got the potential to actually use tools that actually demonstrate what you're capable of doing. Okay, and yeah, so it's very interesting to see how this works. So are you the sort of person to actually actively go out and find better tools to do your job, or are you expecting things to just be handed to you? And the research suggests that if you're going out and seeking external tools, that you're more likely to actually stay at a job longer because you can handle change and you can handle circumstances changing very quickly. You know, all this uncertainty again. So that's what that comes down to. So the bed, the Bowser, and the browser. Now, if you are, like I said, if you don't make your bed and you fill up the tank as soon as possible and using Internet Explorer, work on these things because they will help you survive and thrive in business, okay? So that's the 3 Bs for business success. Let's shift gears a little bit now, and we're going to do the 3 crucial principles, or as you can see, I came up with 4 because I thought about, okay, what's the biggest bang for buck I can give you to help you give you the best possible chance of success? So it's number 4. So let's kick off. First one, solve a problem. Oh my God, this drives me insane, okay? So I get all these messages from people saying, hey, AJ, I love your videos, I love your content, it's great. I've got this idea, you know, can you give me some time and hear this idea of mine, okay? And they tell me that they've got this idea for a business and, you know, usually 9 times out of 10, what's happened is they've got some skills themselves and something has happened in their life. So they've undergone a change in their life circumstances. And all of a sudden, they're now thinking about, oh, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. This is interesting. Okay, cool. I'll start my own business. But they don't know anything about their business and they don't know anything about promoting their business and they don't really know how to run a business. They're very good at their technical skills, but not necessarily using those technical skills to run a business. Okay. So when they sit with me, first thing I ask them is, does it actually solve a problem? What problem do you solve? And they go, well, I solve every problem. You know, everyone's got this problem. So that indicates to me that there's an issue with their idea. Because if you take a look around, it's freaking crazy crowded to start a business today and be successful in it. You're competing with everyone and their animals, right? So the way to cut through it is that you really got to solve a problem. That is the best piece of advice I can give you for any aspiring entrepreneur, even if you've got a side hustle on the side of your main job, right? Does it solve a problem? And if you can't think of the problem it solves, start working on that. Okay, so when I delivered this in a seminar, one day a person stood up and said, AJ, I don't solve a problem, I make jewelry. Okay, and I said, okay, what problem do you solve? She goes, didn't you hear me? I make jewelry, I don't solve problems. And so I took her on this line of thinking. What does jewelry actually solve? It solves identity. Okay, people buy jewelry because they want to feel in a certain way or look in a certain way. They want to modify their identity. And that's the problem that those sort of people solve. So all of a sudden now, she took all that away and she started articulating her business, marketing her business, promoting her business in terms of, if you want to look like this, here's the jewelry for you. So solve a problem, okay? Let's keep going. So when I started my company, it's called Black Magic ICT. It was called Black Magic ICT, and as you can see, I wanted to do something different. And when I started my company, I had no clue what I was doing, right? I had no clue, but I was technically competent, okay? Now, one of the things I did when I started the company, and because I was so young when I started, I was competing with people with, 30, 40 years more experience than me and, $1 million budgets. How the hell did I compete with that? Well, whenever I went to an industry event, everyone, the big players would always say, oh, look at us, we're so wonderful. You need to come talk to us. You need to come see our products. You need to purchase our services. We help you, okay? And instead, I went up and started doing things very differently. I would go up to a person and say, have a conversation with them, and I'd start saying, all sorts of stuff, but I'd be looking for their specific problem. And when I found the problem, I'd go away and build a solution for them. And then I'd take that to them, and instantly doors would open for me. So solve the problem, very important. Number 2, test your solution with people who aren't friends and family. This is so important because when you're going through this transitional period from employee to entrepreneur, you usually reach out to the circles closest to you. So your other half, your friends, your family, and pretty much they will all say the same thing. Go for it. Oh my God, you'd be so good at that. It'd be fantastic. Okay. And you think, yeah, I think I'd be good at that. Yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. And you get into business, no one buys your products and services, and 6 months down the track, you're looking for a JOB again. Okay. So test your solution with people who aren't friends and family. Can you actually make a sale? Before you even start your business, make a sale. Now, that sounds very counterintuitive, but let me walk you through an example. This is one of my clients' laptops, and you'll notice the title MVP there on the laptop, and that stands for Minimum Viable Product. And when I was working with her, she's got a natural skincare business, and she always wants to do these big grand plans, like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Okay, I got to do all this marketing, and then when it's all up and running, then I'll make the sale. Okay, but you don't even need that stuff. So I introduced her to this concept of minimum viable product, which essentially is what's the least you can do or build or say or show that will allow you to make a sale. What is the least you can do, build, show that will allow you to make a sale? So for instance, let's say most of you are, well, pretty much all of you should be in the ICT industry in some way, shape or form. Let's say that you've got an idea for a business and you're waiting for redundancy, you're waiting for some sort of life-changing circumstances, or you want to keep your job and start something on the side. And then you're like, okay, first of all, I need to build a massive website so I look credible. And then, I need to hire staff and I need to do all this stuff. And then I can start making sales. You might have a bit of money behind you. No, don't need any of that, okay? Produce a damn brochure, just a little flyer, okay? Just even a little graphic, and try and get the sale off that graphic. Try and get the sale off that graphic. And what that will tell you is if your idea has legs, if your idea to solve a particular problem is enough for people to reach into their pockets and pull out their wallet to buy from you. I see so many entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs that, I'll catch up with them and I'll see them at an event and they'll be like, yeah, I've got this idea for a business, I'm building a website, whatever, and it's going good, and yeah. And I tell them about the minimum viable product, they don't hear me, they keep going. And then 6 months down the track, I'll see them again. Oh yeah, almost got the website done. Oh my God, this developer's ridiculous. I've changed developers like 3 times and still nothing's done. 12 months later, how's business going? Yeah, it didn't work out. I'm actually in a job now. What a waste. What an incredible waste. And this comes back down to what I was telling you before about taking risks. I don't believe in taking risks. I believe in mitigating them. And the minimum viable product is one simple way that you can all continue in your jobs and keep that money coming in to pay the bills and keep your family satisfied and safe and secure, and develop this thing on your side. Whether that's a website, whether that's a little graphic that you perpetuate on Facebook ads or whatever, and try and make a sale. And that's the only thing you should be doing at that level. Try and make a sale. Okay? Cool. So that's that. Let's keep going. 3, stand out from the crowd. Okay, cool. So, like I said earlier, right? The world is so complex and competition is at an all-time high. Even me, I'm going out to market now, booking out the rest of the year as a professional speaker. And the techniques I'm using now, it's so much more involved than the last time I had to do this. And, just even a year ago, all I needed to do was say, hey guys, I've got a new keynote out. Here's the details to book me, go forth. And I'd get booked out solidly. Now, the competition and people have switched off from all the social media advertising or the blah, blah, blah stuff that's happening in the world. And, you know, people are switched off. So it's so hard to cut through and get attention. So how do you do that? You figure out how to actually stand out from the crowd. What makes you and your business so different to everyone else? So some people call that unique value proposition. I just call it standing out from the crowd, right? And a lot of people, they go down the wrong path with this sort of thing. And they think like, AJ, there's nothing unique about my services, you know, like everyone's a landscape gardener or whatever, you know. There's so many landscape gardeners out there. Okay, but how do you promote your business? Is there a particular story around it? Sometimes you yourself are the only unique thing about it, okay? Let me give you a solid example. When I started Black Magic, like I said, I had no idea what I was doing. And I knew that I was, you know, I had a massive mountain to climb considering the competition that I had around me, okay? So I decided I need to stand out from the crowd. So I went out the very next day I started the business and I went out and I bought a brand new Ferrari. Kid you not, here's a photo. Now, yeah, that looks a bit funny and some of you are going, oh, that was so lame, that was so lame. But here's the thing, this laptop, the Acer Ferrari laptop, won me so much work, so much work. Why? Because at the time, think about it, every other consultant out there had the black IBM laptop or the black Dell laptop. Imagine what happened when I reached into my bag and I pulled out this. All of a sudden, oh my God, what is that? Is that a Ferrari laptop? Yeah, it's a Ferrari laptop. How? What? Why? Well, it's got an AMD processor in it, an AMD sponsored Ferrari. So they made this special gimmicky laptop. And oh my God, is that a carbon fiber lid? Yeah, it's the exact same carbon fiber lid that's used in the F1 car. Oh my God, does it look like a Ferrari? Oh, it sounds like one. Listen, open it up, hit start, from, you know, whatever. And it was all gimmicky and whatever, right? But then that person would go to the tea room and have a conversation in the tea room and say, oh my God, did you see the consultant with the Ferrari laptop? Oh my God, there's a Ferrari laptop? I'm a huge fan of F1. Oh my God. And they come and talk to me and say, what are you doing here? And I say, oh, you know, I'm building a database, an Access database for the client here. Access database, you know what? I've got 20 of those. Can you come and talk to me after you finished here? Sure, no worries. Won me so much work. Stand out from the crowd. So my question to you is, what's your Ferrari? Think about how you can stand out from the crowd. Think about yourself, your adventures in business and in life. What makes you unique to stand out from the crowd? Think about that at the time. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, this is crucial. Think like an entrepreneur, even if you're an employee, okay? Think like an entrepreneur if you're an employee. And this comes back down to what I was saying before about entrepreneurship isn't really about starting a business and making money. Entrepreneurship is about how you think. Entrepreneurship is about how you think, how you see the world around you and what you do to create opportunity. For example, take a look around you right now. Every single thing that you see in front of you, every single thing was once just an idea in someone's head. And through the magic of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial thinking, it's now a reality in front of you. That's important to think about. So, all entrepreneurs think in exactly the same way. Here's how they think. And for those of you with pieces of paper, please write this down and take this on board, because this will serve you, whether you're an entrepreneur starting your own business or if you're an employee. Think about it really carefully. So let's get into it. First of all, the entrepreneurial mind, okay? Entrepreneurship to me is about taking an idea and achieving an outcome. Taking an idea and achieving an outcome. Now, if that was so simple, everyone would be entrepreneurs, right? But the thing is that in between the idea and the outcome are these things called barriers. And they prevent an idea from ever becoming an outcome. Now, the good news is that in my years of experience in business, there's only 3 barriers you need to pay attention to. The first barrier is the internal barrier. That's that little voice in your head that says, you are not good enough. You can't even tie your shoelaces. What makes you think you can run a multi-million-dollar company? We all have that voice in various different forms. We need to learn how to control that voice and build up self-confidence in ourselves and our abilities and shut that voice down. That's the first barrier, that internal barrier. The second barrier is once you believe in yourself and your abilities, the next barrier is external. And 9 times out of 10, that relates to communication. How do you communicate your idea in such a way to get people to buy from you? How do you communicate your idea in such a way to get people to buy from you? And external barriers could also be financial barriers. I just don't have the money to do this thing. I just don't have the budget to do this thing. You know, it could be external barriers. It could be legal barriers, because we all know we can make a lot of dough doing a lot of dodgy stuff, but we don't, right? So it could also be political barriers, as I found out the hard way. It could be a variety of other barriers that's all external, okay? So that's the second barrier. Now, say you understand it yourself and you believe in the right mindset, and then you conquer the external barriers, you learn how to communicate your idea out there to the rest of the world. Sometimes, no matter what happens, the third barrier is your idea just isn't good enough and it's not going to work anyhow, okay? So the idea is not good enough, or the implementation of the idea is not exactly good enough. So let me give you a quick example. Once upon a time, I get this email from this person saying, AJ, love your work, love your videos. I've got the idea of an amazing business. If you Google the words perfect pour, P-O-U-R, you will know what I mean, wink. And I was like, who is this arrogant person emailing me like this, thinking that I will Google him and find his business instead of telling me about it directly? But I was curious, so I did, okay? And I found out it was this video. And what he's done is what he's built, what he's developed is a wine bottle stopper that prevents it from spilling, okay? And this product, in his words, is going to revolutionize the hospitality industry, and it's going to change the world, okay? And he hasn't done his research, obviously, because those products are around everywhere. So when I Googled it, this video comes up, and it's a product demonstration, okay? So what it is like, you have a glass and a bottle of wine, he pours a bottle of wine, and all of a sudden it drips all over the place, okay? Messy tablecloth. And then he screws in the product, and you know what? It doesn't drip. But here's the thing. In that second demonstration of it, he tilted the angle of the bottle so that it wouldn't drip anyway. And instantly, credibility's gone. Because I don't know if that's just showmanship or if the product actually works. And I didn't buy it. And I told him this, but he never got back to me. So that's a case of implementation of the idea might not work, in which case you need to go back and refine the idea and test it, you know, build another MVP, go out to market, or find another idea, okay? Within corporations, you need to have a culture that supports this framework, the entrepreneurial mind framework. And even in business and life, if your family doesn't have a culture to support it, remember Richard Branson, his family had a culture to support this sort of thinking, okay? Now, what's interesting in corporations and business everywhere, all they want is the outcome. We want to deliver this, we must deliver this, we need to generate this, but they don't take into account any of this. They just want the outcome. So this is the entrepreneurial mind framework, and I've got programs in each of these things that are internal. You know, ultimate goal setting and achieving, managing negativity, ultimate decision making, you know, external ideas, impact and influence. How do you present and speak your idea in such a way to get people to buy it? You know, networking and building connections, building relationships, and business survival. I've got this program that's called Bulletproof Your Business, and essentially we sit down and poke holes in your business to actually bulletproof it, pretty much. And then once you get the idea and you conquer your internal barriers and your external barriers and your ideas and bulletproof them, you will always achieve the outcome, always. And this is how all entrepreneurs think in terms of ideas, barriers, and outcomes. And in order to give you the best possible chance of success, I want you to take this and use it. Identify what exactly are your challenges. Are they internal? Do you have that little annoying voice? Are they external? Do you not know how to market and promote yourself? Do you not know how to secure financing? Do you not know how to raise revenue? You know, or are you not sure if your idea works? Have you tested your idea in the marketplace? This is the entrepreneurial mind framework. And if you take nothing else away from this webinar but this, you will be miles ahead of all the people starting a business out there, and you will avoid becoming a failure statistic. The reason why I haven't quoted the failure statistics in business is that no one really knows for sure what they are. No one really knows for sure, and I'm not in a position to sort of speculate on that. So we all know anecdotally that businesses fail, and they're quite vocal about when they fail, but no one really knows just how many fail. Okay, so that's that. All right, it's your turn now. We've got about 10 minutes or so, roughly, because I want to close on this story, which is a really interesting story that I want to share with you, and it'll inspire you to think like entrepreneurs, because I believe entrepreneurs have the power to change the world, and everything I do is geared towards developing and inspiring more entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial thinking. Okay, so what can I help you with? Type into the Zoom chat box now, and let's have a look at your questions. And let's see what questions you've got for me. Ask me anything about your business. Let's get really detailed and personal, and let's make it happen for you. So ask your questions away. Can someone just type into the chat box and let me know that it actually works? Cool. Here we go. Here we go. Any working routine to share from us? All right. Thank you. Is it pronounced Jesus? Whoa, questions coming in now. Hey. All right, let's get interesting. All right, Jesus. Okay, so I hope it's pronounced Jesus. Maybe I'll just call you David, just to be safe. Okay, so do you have any working routine to share with us? Okay, so my working routine, and my examples specifically are different because I'm completely crazy and obsessed with turning my dreams into realities. And my working routine might not be suitable for you. But let me give you a couple of guiding principles. Assuming that you've got your job, do your job. Assuming you've got other commitments to family, do the family stuff. Do not neglect those around you. Do not neglect those around you. I won't go into it in detail, but let's just say that is one of the things I struggle with the most. And it's cost me relationships, it's cost me friendships, so don't neglect your commitments. Now, after you've serviced all of that, you will find spare time somewhere, even if it's only an hour a week, okay? Use that hour to work on something so productive, okay? So when you've identified your barriers, use that hour to work on smashing those barriers down. And that's my biggest tip for work routine. In terms of staying focused, one of the things that I do is I have this post-it note. I don't have it with me around today, but it's a post-it note, real old school post-it note, and I shove it where I can see it. And on the note is this the best use of my time? And every time I glance at it and I'm looking on YouTube or something, I'm like, yeah, it's not, I've got to go back to work. So that's work routine. Okay, which one is most important amongst all four? Xiang, the last one, the entrepreneurial mind. Definitely important because no matter where you are in business and in life, that'll help you. Chang'an, how can you work through after you've graduated from uni? In terms of getting work or, yeah, so that's probably, if you email me that question because that's a long answer, and it's not really on topic. So if you want an answer to that question using entrepreneurial thinking, email me afterwards and I'll happily give you that answer. How can we get the business idea different? Please give an example. Look at your own story. What makes you? So I'm sorry for the pronunciation, Shangzi or Yang. Yangshi, maybe? I don't know. I'm so sorry. How can we get a business idea? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your story. And in those elements of story, you'll see how things are different. I'll give you an example, okay? On stage, one little icebreaker I use is a thing. I get people to say a traditional Darwin greeting. And, everyone does this process. I get people to yell it out, okay? And then later on, the question will come up, how do I stand out from the crowd? And I get everyone to stand up and I say, right, how many of you have seen another speaker do this traditional Darwin greeting? Sit down if you've never seen anyone else do it. Sit down if you've never seen anyone else do it. The entire audience sits down. That's my point of differentiation as a speaker, okay? So things like that. That traditional Darwin greeting, I'm from Darwin, so there are other speakers from Darwin, but no one's thought of using that. So go into your own stories and figure out what's unique. How do you avoid burnout when you're still working and doing a side hustle? Michelle, okay, that's a great question. You avoid burnout in terms of finding something that feeds your soul. Find something that feeds your soul. So this isn't like, just take a break from your work, breathe. No, find something that feeds your soul, okay? For me, business is life for me. So I'm always researching, meeting people, reading, writing, webinaring, filming videos. So, I'm blessed to have one life, which is combined with business. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life blend. But for you, find something that feeds your soul. So that could be escaping for like an hour to some cafe and having your favorite dessert or your favorite coffee or favorite something. It could be sitting down and watching TV, or not watching TV, but watching a movie. It could be your guilty pleasures that you tell no one else about, okay? It could be going out and catching up with people. Find something that feeds your soul. That's bigger than your stress and pain and all that. Okay. Tips to boost traffic on a website. All right. That's very easy to Google, so I'm not going to cover that. For a startup company, what things should I keep in mind to achieve milestones? Basically, keep in mind the entrepreneurial mind. If you're a startup, so a startup is a temporary organization designed to achieve an outcome, and that outcome is proof of concept. In which case, once you've proved that the concept works, you'll either exit, sell it off, or you'll turn it into a bigger company. Or if something goes wrong, you'll kill it. One of those three, okay? So what things should you keep in mind? Embrace the entrepreneurial mind framework, work out your barriers, and keep going, okay? Every challenge that you have in business and in life is one of those three things: internal, external, or ideas. Okay, every challenge, right? I've run that program, run that framework with CEOs around the world, and I ask them, describe your challenges in terms of this model, and they always do it, okay? So that's how you do that. What about business incubators? Oh, what are business incubators? Okay, business incubators are those organizations where you go in and they give you cheap rent and mentoring and support to help you grow your business. Full disclaimer, there's a lot of organizations in that space that are just ticking boxes and not achieving outcomes for the business people. And I've worked with a couple of those organizations, and I've worked with organizations that genuinely care about entrepreneurs. So just keep in mind who the business incubators and accelerators are, and then ask them success stories and decide for yourself if you want to join up. Okay. Were there any head down moments? Okay, so what about scenarios where you're partners with others? Tip for managing shared risks and benefits. You manage it like you would any relationship, really, through communication, good communication. Communication is fundamental, and unfortunately, so much of society does not communicate properly, okay? So if you're interested, take my details down. I'll send you a video where I actually talk about my communication framework. And it's also a clip on YouTube called How to Win an Argument. Okay, how to win an argument every single time. Okay, and that'll help you manage your partnerships with that. How can we set up MVP properly? What criteria should be considered when you set up the scope? Okay, Wingyin. Basically, the criteria is: can you make a sale? That's it. You know, can you make a sale? If you're within an organization, can you achieve the outcome, which is basically prove that the idea works, which is again, make the sale. So quick story about internal organization. Say you got a customer that you want to develop something innovative, go to the customer and say, hey, we've got this, would you buy it? No? Okay, cool. Why wouldn't you buy it? Take the lessons, redevelop, go out back to the customer. We've fixed all those things. Would you buy it now? No? Why not? Because blah, blah, blah. Take it back, fix it, take it back, fix it, go out to market, reiterate that process and it'll be fine. Okay, guys, we've got 5 minutes left and I want to close on a story. If you've got any other questions, just find me online and ask me. So I'm going to tell you the story now while we've got a few minutes left. And this is a story called Robert's Story, okay? Now, Robert was a kid who I met when I was doing speaking at school, and he was a kid, 14-year-old kid failing school. And he basically, he was getting thrown out of school. So his teacher rings me up and says, hey, do you have a job for him? Because no one else will let him in. All he wants to do is study in IT. And I said, hey, I don't have a job for him, but I do remember him. I'll go sit down and meet with him. And I sat down and I met with him and I said, hey, you don't look like the dumbest kid around. What's up with you? Why are you failing school? And he goes, well, AJ, it's like this. For maths, they take me out to the beach, and they give me a compass and a map, and they ask me to find my way home. And I was like, what's wrong with that? And he said, for the last 6 years, I've been in junior police rangers where they drop me into the middle of a forest and ask me to find my way back to base camp. And instantly, I understood that what he was being taught wasn't really reflective of the level that he was at. And because of that, he was labeled disengaged, delinquent, a D student. So I said to him, what do you want to do? He said, all I want to do is build computers. I love computers. And I said, all right, cool. I might have a project for you. So he comes to work with me and he built my technology training center. I can't remember if that was in the bio at the start, but if you Google me, you'll hear all the crazy stuff that I do and why I'm speaking with you here today. So anyway, he came to build a center and I taught him how to think like an entrepreneur. I taught him how to think using the entrepreneurial mind, okay? And he transformed himself and his life, and he's now a very successful entrepreneur, okay? Now, at some point, you know, I've gone up to him and, you know, this is quite a long story, and I'm trying to give you the essence of the story, okay? So once upon a time, I catch up with him and I say to him, hey, how's business going? And he goes, oh, it's crazy busy, you know, but I'm off to South Korea next month. And this is when he was about 20 years old. And I said, why are you off to South Korea, champ? And he goes, yeah, well, that's where the world e-games are. And AJ, that's like a $30 billion industry. And if I could just get a sliver of that into my pocket, I'll be great. Yeah, all right, cool. And he went off to South Korea and he's building all these businesses. One day I get a call from Robert, and he knows not to call me because I don't do phone calls. But when he rings, I know it's pretty serious. So I took the call and I said to him, hey, champ, what's going on? He goes, AJ, listen, I'm really sorry. Things are really tough. And, you know, I've got a girlfriend now and I have to support her. And I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to give up business and get a job. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm so sorry. I didn't want to let you down. And I was like, damn, man, listen, you ain't ever going to let me down, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of what you've done and what you've achieved. And yeah, look, at the end of the day, man, entrepreneurs do whatever it takes to keep going. So if you need to quit business and get a job, go right ahead. I always got your back. He goes, really? I said, yeah, cool. Phone down. A couple of months later, I catch up with Robert and I say, hey, champ, how's the job going? He goes, well, funny story. I was like, what happened? He goes, well, remember the thing you told me about entrepreneurs do whatever it takes? Well, I sat down and I looked at my business and I realized that I didn't need to shut it down. I could actually sell it. So I sold it. I was like, damn, man, that's great. You know, what are you doing now? He goes, well, funny story. The people that bought the business, they don't know how to run it. So they hired me back as the CEO. And I thought, wow, that is amazing. Here's a kid that was failing school. And because someone gave him a chance, someone gave him an opportunity, his life has changed. And he's 21 years old, 22 years old at the time. And he's the CEO of a company that he started and he sold. Think about that for a second. He's going to always roll out through life in business. And that's what I mean. This is the real power that entrepreneurship has to change the world. And later on, we went on together and we built this program called Young Entrepreneurs Day to teach other school kids how to develop entrepreneurial thinking, to start a business and change their lives, you know. And it's amazing. And here's Robert in the purple shirt here. He looks a bit different. He's all grown up. And, you know, I'm so proud of this guy. I haven't spoken to him for a little while, but I'm no doubt he's always doing stuff. And it's amazing. And I'm so proud of him. But this is the potential that entrepreneurs have to change the world. So my wish for us all is to think like an entrepreneur, change your life, change the world, and go make it happen. All right, guys, that's me done. This is my new guide. I don't write books, I write guides, and the future of work is entrepreneurial. Everything that I've said here today is inside this guide, and I'm still finishing it off. But when it's finished, get in touch with me for a copy, and you'll have all the stuff for yourself, the stories. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and go make a difference. All right, my time is up, so I just want to say thank you all for being a part of this webinar. Thank you, ACS, for having me here. Thank you, RCL, for putting us in this room and supporting my activities. And thank you all for tuning in. And whatever happens in business and in life, I wish you nothing but success. Take care.